What's going on, guys, in the works? And yes, welcome to another question and answer. And it's been a while since we've done one of these. It's been a little bit over a month. And I know you guys do enjoy having me give you the details of my life and answering some of the questions for you guys. Because, on Facebook, I ask you guys to give me some good questions, and I've got a handful here. Some of them are maybe repetitive. We may have had these before, but I figured I'd go ahead and answer them. That way, some of you new guys could get to know me a little bit better. So, that being said, there is some pretty cool SV98 gameplay in the background and whatever gameplay I decide to go out with it, because sometimes these do run a little bit longer and I end up having to use two gameplays. But anyways, let's get started. First question, do you have a kid or are you planning on having a kid? Now this is a pretty big one to start with, but contrary to popular belief, a lot of people think that I'm married. I am not married. I'm just not at the point in my life where I want to be married yet. There's still a lot of things I want to do. On the flip side, the same thing can be said about a kid. I do not have a kid. I do not plan on having a kid anytime soon. I still want to have the freedom to, play video games, travel, do a lot of things that I want to do before I get tied down by those kinds of responsibilities. So I do not have a kid, guys. I am not married. Next question was asked by Carter. And Carter asked, suppressor or laser sight? And this is actually a decent question. And I'm going to go with laser sight in most scenarios. Now it is situational, but very rarely do I seem to use the suppressor these days. So I'm going to go with laser sight in most cases. Next question, what is your favorite cereal and why? Well, and why? I like cereal. That's why. My top two cereals are probably Cinnamon Toast Crunch and Cinnamon Life. You can see that cinnamon theme going on there. And then I also like Reese's Puffs, which are really, really good. So I am a big cereal guy, eat a lot of cereal, and I think those are probably my top three. Honey Nut Cheerios is also pretty high up there. So cereal gets an A+ in my book. Alright, James asks, what is your favorite dinosaur? And this is a good question, because we all want dinosaurs in Battlefield 3. You guys know that I love dinosaurs. Just look at my emblem, probably on this video. Look at my background. I have dinosaurs everywhere. And I can only hope for dinosaurs in Battlefield 3. But my favorite dinosaur, since I was a little bitty boy, I used to always know the name of the dinosaurs. I used to read science books on dinosaurs. I used to be able to name a ton of them. My favorite has always been Iguanodon, which was actually the first dinosaur skeleton ever discovered. So there's some trivia for you guys. But Iguanodon is my favorite. He's the one with like the claws on his hands. He was actually a plant eater though, so he was not vicious. He was peaceful. But he is my favorite dinosaur. Alright, next question. Liam asks, if you could morph into any animal, what would it be and why? Now, I was thinking about this and I was like, technically a dinosaur is an animal. So if I could morph into a dinosaur, that's what I would morph into. If I had to be a dinosaur, or if I had to be an animal forever, I might choose a little bit differently. I might go with like a tortoise, since they live a long time. Or maybe something cool like some sort of jungle cat, but they only live like 10 years, don't they? Like a tiger. And I think like a jaguar in the jungle only lives for like 10 years. So I'd probably go with a tortoise if I had to be that animal forever, just so I could live longer. And they are pretty cool. I like turtles. I like tortoises. Next question comes from Carter Jones. And this is actually a different Carter. There's a lot of people with the same name, so I do apologize. Out of 100, what would you score Medal of Honor Warfighter? Now, if you haven't watched my review on Warfighter, you probably need to watch this to take this into context. But it's really up to you guys. I think it's a very average game in a lot of scenarios. It does do a few things right. So I think I would either give it a 5 or a 6. It does have a lot of shortcomings, though. I do enjoy playing it with friends, and I will post it from time to time. But it definitely was a little bit disappointing. Christian asked, if you could be any Halloween monster, which would you pick? And I figured this was appropriate since yesterday was Halloween. I'm going to pick something kind of crazy. If you guys have Netflix or you've ever seen the movie Thanksgiving, there is a killer turkey in that movie. And yes, it's as ridiculous as it sounds. It's probably one of the worst movies I've ever seen. But I think if I was going to be a Halloween monster, with that being fresh in my mind because I just watched it again for like the third time, I would be the killer turkey from Thanksgiving just because it is so hilariously bad. And it would be funny to see a turkey running around with an axe in his hand killing people. So I think I'd go with that, considering that Thanksgiving's on the way, that it would be appropriate. Alright, next question. Mike asks, what is your favorite map in Battlefield 3? Well, this is also a good question. I think I've probably answered this in the past. But my favorite expansion is definitely the Karkan maps. And my favorite map is Karkan. I really do enjoy that map. It's probably one of the most balanced in Battlefield 3. I think Gulf of Oman's pretty close. If I was going to go with one of the original Battlefield 3 maps, it might be like Grand Bazaar or even Damavon Peak. I actually do like Firestorm a lot, even though it is one of the more lower played maps. Alright, Dominic asks, Coca-Cola or Pepsi? Well, I don't drink soda, guys. It's not very healthy. It ruins your teeth. Never really been a big soda drinker, so I don't know. I think I'd probably go with Coke though. I don't like Pepsi because it's a little bit sweeter. I don't like soda as a rule, but I think if I had to choose, I would go Coke. All right, Harrison asks, did you ever have any explosions when you worked at the Winchester ammunition factory? Yes, I was in 3 different fires while working there. It's actually pretty safe when a fire happens. There's a pretty big system. Granted, it stinks up the factory for like a couple weeks, but I was in, I think, about 3 fires while I was there. Now, on the flip side, someone asked, what did you do in the ammunition factory? Well, I was actually a quality control guy. I made sure that the NATO ammunition met the contract stipulations, because if it didn't, we would get in trouble. So I worked a lot with like FBI rounds, any kind of military round, 5.56 rounds, 50 cal rounds from time to time. That was kind of rare because the protection on the higher caliber rounds aren't as we don't do as much, or we didn't do as much as the 5.56 rounds. 7.62, we ran that occasionally. 40 Smith & Wesson, NATO 9mm, that was another big one we had to fill. So I had to make sure those met the contract stipulations. They had the waterproofing, they had the right powder weights, stuff like that. And on the topic of explosions, I actually talked about this in a video before. I actually got hit in the back of the head by a shell casing when this girl threw down a 40 Smith & Wesson into this canister, and she hit the primer and it actually exploded, and I got hit in the back of the head by the shell casing. Now, it didn't really, quote, hurt me. It just scared me because it was very loud and very unexpected. I didn't have to go to the hospital or anything. It was a minor wound, because if the bullet's not chambered, it's not really going to do anything, and let alone the shell casing, it just kind of hit me in the back of the head and surprised me. So I do have a video on that on my channel. I told that story back in the Black Ops days. So if you're interested in hearing the complete story, you can go and listen to that. Alright, Joe asks, do you find it easier to play on console or PC? Because I've played on PC and I could not get the hang of it. Well, it's actually kind of tricky to go from console to PC and go from PC to console. Being someone who played 100 hours on Battlefield on console, 100 hours on more than 100 on PC, obviously. It was kind of tricky. I mean, it did take me a while, but I don't really necessarily think one is harder than the other. I think it's going to be hard for both people switching. If you go from PC to console, console to PC, it's still going to be hard. I don't think either takes, quote, any more skill than the other. I think they're both pretty much even terms. I respect gamers. I think that whatever you game on, that you're a gamer. And I don't really try to get into the PC console argument. Now, I do prefer PC, obviously, but I do own an Xbox. In fact, it's right here. All right, next question was from Daniel. We have a lot of Daniels in this list. If you could get a game that hasn't been released yet, what would it be? Now, I thought about this, and I'm really excited for Halo 4. I am so anxious for that. I will be picking it up at midnight this Monday. I'll probably post some of it too. I know a lot of you guys want me to post it. Always been a big Halo guy, and I think I can wait 5 days though. So I would be tempted to say Black Ops, because that's another game I'm kind of intrigued by. But that's also pretty close too. So let's go with Battlefield 4. There is a working, playable version of Battlefield 4 out there from what I've heard. So I would love to get my hands on that and play it for a while and get an idea of what they're actually doing with Battlefield 4. So I think that's what I would go with. Alright, next question. If you could do anything tomorrow and not get caught, even if it's illegal, what would it be? Now, this is an awesome question, and I thought long and hard about this. And I think, my first instinct was, hey, let's go rob a bank, we'll be rich. But that hurts other people, and I don't really want to do that. I wouldn't want to obviously kill anybody. I wouldn't want to do anything that would affect another person's life, and robbing a bank could get someone fired. It could take money out of their pockets, and it's just not fair. So I think if I was going to do something like that, I would sneak into a building that you normally wouldn't be allowed into, like the White House. Go explore the White House, go explore Area 51. If I knew I wasn't going to get caught, I'm assuming that they're not going to see me, so find out some of the cool secrets of that. I think it would be awesome to sneak around the White House, because there's got to be something we don't know about in there. Same can be said about Area 51. We all know the lore behind that. I would love to sneak around there, maybe find something that only a few select people know. Some national treasure type stuff. Find out that there actually was aliens. I don't know. Or there's a hidden treasure in America behind Mount Rushmore or something like that. I think that would be a lot of fun. So that's probably what I would do, because it would be the most interesting, and on the at the same time, it wouldn't hurt anybody, because I wouldn't want to ruin anyone's life for my own pleasure. All right, next question is from Mike Collins, and he asked a pretty good one as well. Topanga or Kelly, and he's saying Topanga from Boy Meets World or Kelly from Saved by the Bell. I'm gonna go with Topanga because I was a huge Boy Meets World fan when I was a kid, still am, and Topanga was very loyal. She seems like the type of woman that you would want to marry, so I'll go with Topanga on that one. All right, next question is from Ricardo. And Ricardo asks a very similar one. If you could be an animal, which would it be and why would you be it? Now, I've already kind of answered this, and I'm guessing this is one that you have to be it for the rest of your life. So I am going to go with tortoise on this one because you can live forever. Tortoises live a long time. And they are pretty cool looking, you know. Tortoises, a lot of people underrate a tortoise. I used to have a Russian tortoise, and he lived to be, I think, 35, which was actually kind of young to be a tortoise. He was actually old when I got him. But I did enjoy having a tortoise, so I think I would be a tortoise, like one of those giant ones that you see on the Galapagos Islands. Alright, another Daniel question. Daniel asks, when did you pick up gaming? Well, I've actually answered this in a past one, so I'm going to answer it again. I actually picked up gaming as a kid. I was with my father. He had an Atari, and you know, Atari was one of my favorite systems. I played a lot of games on it. It's what really got me into gaming. You know, Space Invaders, all that. I think my first personal system was a Sega Genesis. Now, I did play Nintendo Original when I was a kid, but I didn't personally have one until later. But my first system was Sega Genesis. I played a lot of Sonic the Hedgehog. I played a lot of Battletoads. Don't laugh. I know it's funny to be a, quote, Battletoads fan these days. But yeah, Sega, Atari, those were my early beginnings in gaming. Now, Rune asks, what is the best and worst thing in Battlefield 3 in your opinion? Well, the best thing in Battlefield 3, in my opinion, is the gunplay. It's top-notch. It's unparalleled. The gun mechanics in the game work perfectly. I love it. When I look at a game these days, a first-person shooter like Medal of Honor, I couldn't get used to the gunplay. You know, I'm so used to how good the guns feel in Battlefield 3 that I just could not get adjusted to Medal of Honor. So that's my favorite thing about it. I know it's kind of a silly thing, but I think that's really what makes Battlefield so rewarding when you get a kill. The worst thing is probably the lack of support. I don't like the 3 months between patches. I don't like the bad communication between DICE and the community. It really puts me off to the game, and it makes me frustrated because it is such a solid title. So those are my two likes and dislikes about Battlefield 3. Now finally, this is the last question, and this comes from Chris. And he asked, what are your thoughts on Disney buying Lucasfilm? And do you like Star Wars? Yes, I love Star Wars. Always been a big Star Wars guy. And I don't really think it's going to be a big deal, because if you've ever been to Disney World in Orlando, Florida, you'll know that MGM Studios actually has a bunch of Star Wars stuff there. So I don't really think Disney's influence is going to change. They've done a lot of good things with Marvel after they bought that. There's a lot of good Marvel movies, you know, the Avengers, Iron Man 1, 2, and now 3. All those superhero movies they did a really good job with. So I'm confident. I am super confident they can do fine with Star Wars, because they are making, quote, episode 7. Ooh, I'm kind of interested to see the way they go with that, because the new ones weren't the best movies. I know a lot of hardcore Star Wars fans hate the new episodes, but I don't know. I mean, they were alright for what they were, besides some like bad acting from a couple of the actors in that. But overall, big Star Wars fan, not really too concerned with Disney buying them. I think it'll be okay. But that wraps it up, guys. I hope that I got your question. I know I missed a lot of them, and I'm going to offer you guys an incentive, though. I know I didn't get to answer every single question, so I'm going to link a Facebook thread in the description here. All you have to do is go over there and ask me a question. A couple hours after this video goes live, and maybe throughout the day when I get time, I'm going to answer a bunch of questions for you guys. Granted, they're not super ridiculous, because some questions I won't be able to answer just because they'll just be too uncomfortable. But I'll try to get to as many as possible. It'll give you guys an opportunity who didn't get a chance to get your question answered, to have it answered by me, because I know there were a ton. I think there was over 200 questions I got between Twitter and Facebook. And it was difficult to choose, so go over there, leave your question. I'll do my best to try to answer it. Hopefully you guys did enjoy this rendition of question and answer. I think this was the 4th one, and I will see you guys next time. Peace.